Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom also to the one God Israelites, which include Judah's children, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Indians, also the blood descendants who are still oppressed together, according to the book of Jeremiah 50 and 33, but to whom so lay paternity, adoption, the giving of the law, the promises, the glory, and the covenants, of course. Okay, just in case you don't read, according to the book of Romans, chapter 9. Okay, before I start, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bar Hashem, Yahushai, Bar Hashem, Rakar Kodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Okay, also, this is not a normal day. This is a day where we see again how times have changed. Okay, it's of course summer and all this, and it should be warm and, and things like that, and you should be sweating and things like that. But this is not normal, my friend. I say it again. This is not normal anymore. We're in the middle of Germany, the abyss of Europe. Okay, if you can read the Bible correct, you should come to that conclusion. Okay, it's called Themen, the whole of Europe. Okay. And it's actually that hot, man, that you don't even know if you're in Africa or in Germany anymore. Okay? Just like that you have different animals, you see. I don't see an elephant here, but I see a snail here, you see. So things have changed, man. Things have changed, man. It's so hot, all of a sudden, that you don't even know anymore if you are still in Germany or in Africa, man. Okay? This is not normal. You stand here and you feel like you're on some island or somewhere. Okay, where it has, I don't know, 50 degrees or something. You see? This is not normal. Today we want to read 1.Maccabees chapter 10. In the 160th year, Alexander the son of Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, went up and took Ptolemais, for the people had received him, by means whereof he weighted there. Now when King Demetrius heard thereof, he gathered together an exceeding great host, and went forth against him to fight. Moreover, Demetrius sent letters unto Jonathan with loving words, so as he magnified him. For said he, let us first make peace with him before the join with Alexander against us, else he will remember all the evils that we have done against him and against his brethren and his people. Wherefore he gave him authority to gather an host, and to provide weapons that he might aid him in battle. He commanded also that the hostages that were in the tower should be delivered him. Then came Jonathan to Jerusalem and read the letters in the audience of all the people and of them that were in the tower, who were so afraid when they heard that the king had given him authority to gather together and host. Whereupon they of the tower delivered their, their hostages unto Jonathan, and he delivered them unto their parents. This done, Jonathan settled himself in Jerusalem, began to build and repair the city, and he commanded the workmen to build the walls and the Mount Zion round about with square stones for fortification, and they did so. Then the strangers that were in the fortress which Bacchites had built fled away, insomuch as every man left his place and went into his own country. Only at Bethsura certain of those that had forsaken the law and the commandments remained still, for it was their place of refuge. Okay, so it always says, of course, those who still kept the commandments and those who were not keeping the commandments. Okay, so obviously there is a difference still. Okay, the people that keep the commandment, which is the law, okay, the first 5 books of Moses, without the part of making animal sacrifices, if you still don't get it, okay, because it's not possible without a temple, without a tabernacle to do these sacrifices. Okay, there is no Levitical priesthood where we can have this principle. Yeah, Salachia. Like I said, without the part, okay, of the sacrifices. I give you an example. The so-called New Testament says you have to keep also the law in the country where you live in, okay? So it can't be today, even if you are one of the elect, even if you're one of the elect, okay, it can't be, especially not the most of the elect, have the option to still do these sacrifices. Give you an example. If the police stops you and asks you why you kill all these animals, okay, and you say, oh, I want to keep the law, okay, when there's no tabernacle, when there's no temple, nothing, okay, to keep that part of the law. Anyway, you say that, the police will think you are what is called okay, you are basically abusing animals, okay? So 2 reasons why you don't keep 100% of the law. We don't do sacrifices at the moment, like I said. Can be that one of the hopeful elect right now has the possibility somewhere out there, okay, to do these sacrifices according to his country law, but still you are not allowed according to the Bible right now, okay? There is no Aaron where you can go to, okay, or priesthood, okay, where you can go to. There's no temple where you can go to also on your own. Okay, nothing in that way where you say, okay, that was the least, okay, to establish these principalities of sacrifice and things like that, okay? Okay? So there are certain things that you can't keep according to our law. I'll give you another example. A witch has to be killed according to the law. Can you go now and kill a witch on the street, in the open street? No. La'ah, which means no in the Hebrew. So people saying, oh, you can't keep the law today, okay, because you can't keep certain parts of the law, you can't keep everything. It makes as far a sense as I would say, don't go outside of your house because a lion can kill you. Makes no sense. Okay? So these people are willingly ignorant and willingly in a lack of knowledge. Okay? Willingly. What you can do is, of course, for example, eating no swine's flesh, keeping the Sabbath. Okay, these are things that you can keep. So first of all, there are things you have to keep and there are things you can keep, and those which you have, you still have to. Okay, according to what we're reading right now, it was and is still in our culture, which we have no culture at the moment, if you think about it, because even our language is basically no longer here, right? You see? Yeah, of course, most of the hopeful elect, they can make even sentences with the Lashon Kodash, the Holy Tongue, the Eichitigu. Okay? Some of them might even talk it perfect, or or not so perfect, but they can. Okay. So let's continue. So, like I said, there were Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai always made a cut in half between those people who keep the law and those people who don't keep the law. Still to this day. Who were so afraid, verse 8, when they heard that the king had given him authority to gather together an host, whereupon they of the tower delivered their hostages unto Jonathan, and he delivered them unto their parents. This done, Jonathan settled himself in Jerusalem, and began to build and repair the city. And he commanded the workmen to build the walls and the Mount of Zion round about with square stones for fortification, and they did so. Then the strangers that were in the fortress which Barchites had built fled away, insomuch as every man left his place and went to his own country. Only at Bethsua certain of those that had forsaken the law and the commandments remained still, for it was their place of refuge. Now when King Alexander had heard Jonathan, when also it was told him of the battles and noble acts which he and his brethren had done, and of the pains that they had endured, he said, Shall we find such another man? Now therefore we will make him our friend and confederate. Upon this he wrote a letter and sent it unto him, according to these words, saying, King Alexander to his brother Jonathan sendeth greeting. We have heard of thee, that thou art a man of great power, and meet to be our friend. Wherefore now this we ordain thee to be the high priest of thy nation, and to be called the king's friend. And therewithal he sent him a purple robe and a crown of gold, and require thee to take our part and keep friendship with us. So in the 7th month of the 160th year, at the feast of the tabernacles, Jonathan put on the holy robe and gathered together forces that provided much armor. Wherefore when Demetrius heard, he was very sorry, and said, What have we done, that Alexander had prevented us in making amity with the Jews to strengthen himself? I also will write unto them words of encouragement, and promise them dignities and gifts, that they may have their aid. That I may have their aid. He sent unto them therefore to this effect, King Demetrius unto the people of the Jews sendeth greeting, whereas ye have kept covenants with us. And continued in our friendship, not joining yourselves with our enemies, we have feared thereof, and are glad. Wherefore now continue ye still to be faithful unto us, and we will recompense you for the things ye do in our behalf, and will grant you many immunities and give you rewards. And now do I free you, and for your sake I release all the Jews from tributes and from customs of salt and from crown taxes. Okay, taxes is really a big thing if you think about it, right? Actually, your government, wherever you live in, would have no power at all or money at all without all these taxes, right? Because really a government is something that established first on violence, You see? Oh, we gather all this gold what we have stolen here in this land, which is not ours. Okay? But then to keep that money, they had to start with people paying taxes to them. You see? Because other people also found things, which are sometimes even more important and have more worth, you see? But guess what? You first have to go to your establishment, okay, and say, oh, I have found this, blah blah blah, and then the government actually says that's not yours, that's ours, because the land where you found that is ours, you see. So this whole thing is corrupt and and of course against you if you still don't get it, okay, which is not a matrix, okay. The whole matrix is Yahushai making you think that you have some kind of power, and the only power which you have is to die, okay. That's the only power what you are in power of, that you can die, okay. That is the only power what Yahweh Hashem Yahushai has given to you, man, okay. Even if you want to kill somebody else, guess what, man, he can make it. Like the scripture says, he that digs a pit for somebody, he will fall into himself. It happens all day. Somebody wants to kill somebody, but actually, while they're trying, they die themselves, okay? Or they're trying it and never can do it because maybe they don't find this guy or woman and things like that, man. So the only power, I say it again, is that you can die, okay? There is nothing more given to you, man, okay? You can pray, die, that is power, okay? Praying is a big power, okay? But you're not in control about other man's life, man. That's a fantasy. I give you an example. If I want to kill Putin now, how much chance I have, or I got to kill him? There's a chance, of course, but first of all, I don't want to do that. Second of all, okay, it might be even the case that I'm 1 minute before I successfully killed him, but guess what? Somebody shoots me and I'm dead, right? So if Yahweh Hashem Yahushai doesn't give a stamp on something, you have no power at all to do anything. I can even pass the street right there if Yahweh Hashem Yahushai doesn't allow me, doesn't give the stamp on it, how he created this matrix, if you will. Okay? Guess what, man? There could come somebody or something, or somebody even shoots me, okay? You don't know. Okay? So what I want to say is, there is no power given to man. Man is just ashes, okay? The only thing which gives him power is to establish this godly, okay, and beautiful connection to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Like I said, praying is a very important power. Keeping the law is a power, because you are essential to a hopeful elect. You are essential what a hopeful elect or elect Hebrew Israelite, God, human being would be today, okay? So these things are powerful. These things are the only power which a human being can have, okay? So I repeat it, praying, keeping the law, which keeping the law means you study the Bible, basically the whole duty of man, like the scripture says it, is to keep the law. So if you keep the law, guess what? You already studied so far that you keep it. That means studying comes with that point, right? So again, praying, keeping the law, okay? Because if you keep the law also, you would keep the Sabbath, you listen to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, because the law says you should lie, which means you should also not lie to yourself. So if you lie to yourself, you land in different groups like Sikari, okay, or IUIC and things like that, because you lie to yourself talking about, oh, the Bible says this, but I want to create my own doctrine. You see, which GMS never does that. It gives you the doctrine straight how it is. You see, so these are the main points of human power, okay, human godlike power. Because if a heathen prays, okay, I don't know, man, but what the scripture says, man. Okay, these people's, the heathens' abundance is onto spittle, man. Like I just did it. You see? Anyway, let's continue. Verse 20, wherefore now this day we ordain thee to be the high priest of thy nation. You see? Verse 21, so in the 7th month of the 160th year, at the feast of the tabernacles, Jonathan put on the holy robe and gathered together forces and provided much armor. Okay, and we was reading the last camps about Jonathan a lot, okay, about Judas a lot, okay. So these were main Israelites in that time, man, that had some leadership spirit or gift in them, you see. Camp Germany, of course, for example. I just give you examples, okay. The brother Jacob, he has qualities which a leader has to have, okay. The the forefront of the GMS Germany camp, you see. So of course Yahweh Hashem Shai, okay, put up the order and the groups and such, okay, and the elders especially, okay, according to their gifts and according to their gifts, man. You see, according to what they are, okay. You don't even know sometimes about yourself who you really are, man. And that makes the truth so special. Because the longer you are in the truth, you start to understand that the truth is the biggest part in your life, which has influence on everything, and on the backside, your life has influence on the truth, of course, you know. So that means you have some kind of special Verantwortung, you know. Okay, you have to treat it well, you see. If you're over righteous, it's not good. If you're overly wicked, it's not good, you see. So you have to find a balance in everything, okay. So basically, the truth is always a part of you, which makes this thing so beautiful. You start to understand that whatever you do in your life, the truth will be always on your side and will be a chilled and kind of like investment, okay, to you. An investment which is above all investments, okay, and even if you die, like the scripture says, even in their death they find hope. Eat that, man. So your investment is not just the biggest investment what you can get, okay, which is everlasting, Google that word, okay. Also, your investment actually starts in the baddest moment of your life, which is your death, man. Get that, man. Or some people invested in gold, okay. Now they're sick, they have cancer, they're about to die, okay, but now they want to live their life, you know, their last 2 weeks of their life. Yeah, you know, they feel like, oh, I'm so thankful, I'm feeling so great, I have 2 weeks left before I die, so now I get all my money for my investment of that what I invested in, you know, and now I can live like a millionaire for 2 weeks. You have people thinking or comparing that to everlasting life, man. You have people thinking this 2 weeks, oh, I wanna feel it. Fuck this Bible. I have my investment. I'm about to die in 2 weeks, but I want to live 2 weeks like a millionaire. These clowns, man, okay? these clowns get on my nerves, man. Get on my nerves. Verse 22. Whereof when Demetrius heard, he was very sorry and said, What have we done that Alexander had prevented us in making amity with the Jews to strengthen himself? I also will write unto them words of encouragement and promise them dignities and gifts, that I may have their aid. He sent unto them therefore to this effect, King Demetrius unto the people of the Jews sendeth greeting, whereas ye have kept covenants with us, and continued in our friendship, not joining yourselves with our enemies, we have heard thereof, and are glad. Wherefore now continue ye still to be faithful unto us, and we will well recompense you for the things ye do in our behalf, and will grant you many immunities and give you rewards. And now do I free you, and for your sake I will release all the Jews from tributes and from the customs of salt, and from crown taxes, and from that which appertaineth unto me to receive for the third part of the seed and the half of the fruit of the trees. I release it from you this day forth, so that they shall not be taken of the land of Judea, nor of the three governments which are added thereunto, out of the country of Samaria and Galilee from this day forth forevermore. Let Jerusalem also be holy and free with the borders thereof, both from tents and tributes. And as for the tower which is at Jerusalem, I yield up my authority over it and give it to the high priest, that he may set it in such man as he shall choose to keep it. Moreover, I freely set at liberty every one of the Jews that were carried captives out of the land of Judea into any part of my kingdom, and I will that all my officers remit the tributes even for their cattle. Furthermore, I will that all the feasts and Sabbaths and new moons and solemn days and 3 days before the feast and the 3 days after the feast shall be all days of immunity and freedom for all the Jews in my realm. Also no man shall have authority to meddle with them or to molest any of them in any matter. I will further that there be enrolled among the king's forces about 30,000 men of the Jews, unto whom pay shall be given as belonging to all the king's forces. And of them some shall be placed in the king's strongholds, of whom also some shall be set over the affairs of the kingdom, which are of trust, and I will that their overseers and governors be of themselves, and that they live after their own laws, even as the king had commanded in the land of Judea. And concerning the three governments that are added to Judea from the country of Samaria, let them be joined with Judea, that they may be reckoned on, to be under one, nor bound, nor obey other authority than the high priest. As for Ptolemais and the land pertaining thereto, I give it as a free gift to the sanctuary at Jerusalem for the necessary expenses of the sanctuary. Moreover, I give every year 15,000 shekels of silver out of the king's accounts from the places appertaining, all the overplus which the officers paid, not in as former time, from henceforth shall be given toward the works of the temple. And besides this, the 5,000 shekels of silver which they took from the uses of the temple out of the sanctuary year by year, even those things shall be released, because Salachia they appertain to the priests that minister. And whosoever they be that flee unto the temple at Jerusalem, or be within the liberties thereof, being indebted unto the king, or for any other matter, let them be at liberty and all that they have in my realm. Still kind of like hot. Well, the Auerbach Shai gives me a little wind to get a little air. Not just sticky, warm, sticky, warm, thick air. Yeah, I have a special term for that here in Germany. I don't know what it's called in English, but here it's called schwül. Okay, the air is also kind of like schwül, and you don't feel like as if you have some fresh air. You just feel like you have, you know, like in a small room, you have the same air that you was putting out. You actually put it in again. And all that they have in my wall, 44, okay, verse 44, for the building also and repairing of the works of the sanctuary expenses shall be given of the king's accounts. Yeah, and for the building of the walls of Jerusalem and the fortifying thereof round about, expenses shall be given out of the king's accounts, as also for the building of the walls in Judea. Now when Jonathan and the people heard these words, they gave no credit unto them, nor received them, because they remembered the great evil that he had done in Israel, for he had afflicted them very sore. But with Alexander they were well pleased, because he was the first that... Okay. Let's continue. You know, Satan messes with my phone anyway, or with my camera, better said. Anyway, let's continue. We were stopping at verse 40. Let's continue at 48. Then gathered King Alexander great forces and camped over against Demetrius. And after the two kings had joined battle, Demetrius' host fled, but Alexander followed after him and prevailed against him. And he continued the battle very sore until the sun went down. Until the sun went down. And that day was Demetrius slain. Afterward Alexander sent ambassadors to Ptolemy king of Egypt with a message to this effect. Forasmuch as I am come again to my realm, and am set in the throne of my progenitors, and have gotten the dominion, and overthrown Demetrius, and recovered our country, for after I had joined battle with him, both he and his host was discomfited by us, so that we sit in the throne of his kingdom. Now therefore let us make a league of amity together, and we will give now thy daughter to wife. And give me now, Selachia, thy daughter to wife, and I will be thy son-in-law, and will give both thee and her gifts according to thy dignity. Then Ptolemy the king gave answer, saying, Happy be the day wherein thou didst return in the land of thy fathers, and sattest in the throne of thy kingdom. Verse 56. And now will I do to thee as thou hast written. Meet me therefore at Ptolemais, that we may see another, for I will marry my daughter to thee according to thy desire. So Ptolemy went out of Egypt with his daughter Cleopatra. And they came unto Ptolemais in the 162nd year, where King Alexander, meeting him, gave unto him his daughter Cleopatra. And celebrated her marriage at Ptolemais with great glory, as the manner of kings is. Now King Alexander had written unto Jonathan that he should come and meet him, who thereupon went honorably to Ptolemais, where he met the two kings, and gave them and their friends silver and gold, and many presents, and found favor in their sight. At that time certain pestilent fellows of Israel, men of a wicked life, first time I hear in the Bible, maybe second time because I was reading the book of Maccabees, but at all like the Bible, but a wicked life, assembled themselves against him to accuse him, but the king would not hear them. Yea, more than that, the king commanded to take off his garments and clothe him in purple, and they did so. Also he made him sit by himself and said unto his princes, Go with him into the midst of the city and make proclamation that no man complain against him of any matter, and that no man trouble him for any manner of cause. Okay, and that is a really high thing if you think about it. Of course, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai had given his stamp on this, okay, because it really needs our a good relationship or a good will, better said, to protect somebody even if he is accused maybe to even kill you yourself. Okay, so you have to have the trust that these are wicked men want to wicked life, like the scripture says, okay, that just want to accuse this guy, he would never have planned something against me or something, right? (64) Now when his accusers saw that he was honored according to the proclamation and clothed in purple, they all fled away. So the king honored him and wrote him among his chief friends, and made him a duke and partaker of his dominion. Afterward Jonathan returned to Jerusalem with peace and gladness. Furthermore, in the 150th year came Demetrius, son of Demetrius of the Crete, into the land of his fathers. Whereof, when King Alexander heard tell, he was right sorry and returned into Antioch. Then Demetrius made Apollonius the governor of Seleucia, his general, who gathered together a great host and camped in Jamnia, and sent unto Jonathan the high priest, saying, Thou alone liftest up thyself against us, and I am laughed to scorn for thy sake, and reproached, and thy dust. And why doest thou want thy power against us in the mountains? Now therefore, if thou trustest in thine own strength, come down unto us the plain field, and there let us try the matter together, for with me is the power of the cities. Ask and learn who I am, and the rest that take our part, and they shall tell thee that thy foot is not able to stand before our face, for thy fathers have been twice put to flight in their own land. Wherefore now shalt thou not be able to abide the horsemen, and so create a power in the plain, where is neither stone nor flint nor place flee unto. So when Jonathan heard these words of Apollonius, he was moved in his mind, and choosing 10,000 men, he went out of Jerusalem, where Simon his brother met him to help him. And he pitched his tents against Joppe, but they of Joppe shut him out of the city, because Apollonius had a garrison there. Then Jonathan laid siege unto it, whereupon they of the city led him in for fear. And so Jonathan won Job. Wherefore when Apollonius heard, he took 3,000 horsemen with a great host of footmen, and went to Azotus as one that journeyed, and there withal drew him forth into the plain, because he had a great number of horsemen in whom he put his trust. When Jonathan followed after him to Azotus, where the armies joined battle, now Apollonius had left 1,000 horsemen in ambush, and Jonathan knew that there was an ambushment behind him, for they had compassed his host, and cast darts at the people from morning till evening. But the people stood still as Jonathan had commanded them, and saw the enemy's horses were tired. Then brought Simon forth his host, and set them against the footmen, for the horsemen were spent, who were discomfited by him, and fled. The horsemen also, being scattered in the field, fled to Azotus, and went into Bethragon, the idols' temples, for safety. But Jonathan set fire on Azotus and the cities round about it, and took their spoils, and the temple of Dagon with them that were fled into it he burned with fire. Thus there Zalachia were burnt and slain with the sword, well nigh 8,000 men. And from thence Jonathan removed his host, and camped against Ascalon, where the men of the city came forth and met him with great pomp. After this returned Jonathan and his host unto Jerusalem, having many spoils. Now when King Alexander heard these things, he honored Jonathan yet more, and sent him a buckle of gold, as the use is to be given to such as are of the king's blood. He gave him also Acaron with the borders thereof in possession. Okay? So the next thing you want to Google is, okay, if this is the same Cleopatra what you hear of in all these Egyptian channels, man. Okay? And I would say so. I'm not sure 100%, but I was going into that, and I believe it was the time of the real Cleopatra that was, you know, what you may be told to in school time, you know, about Cleopatra in Egypt being the last princess, yeah. Anyway, okay, you heard stories of Jerusalem, or better said, the Israelites being in difficult situations sometimes, but the more you are in a difficult situation, the more your faith is being tested, and the more, okay, it actually shows what you're really made of. And the truth is, what you really made of is hopefully gold, okay? And how is gold tested? It is tested in the fire. What happens if you want to shape a piece of gold? You put it in the fire, right? What happens what do you have to do if you want to test if you have real gold or real silver? Guess what? You put it in touch with real heat, okay? And depending on which it is made of, okay? Depending on which it is made of, from what it is made of. Okay, Salachia, you know, I have to drink something. Really hot still, man. Depending on which it is made of, it will have certain effects on the metal itself. Okay, which gold and silver are noble metals. Okay, I don't know if it's the right term, but here we say Edelmetalle. So edel, noble, I believe, you know, noble. And, you know, also you can do a test by putting it on a weight, okay? If it's heavy, it's gold. If it's not so heavy, it's some kind of maybe different metal even. Can be also plastic, okay? Or some scientifically created material. It can be everything, man. Today they invented even chemicals which they can create something which has the complete look of a very rare gemstone, okay, which is also a chemical structure, but they can it appears to you as it is real, but even there you have certain tests that can prove to you that it's not real, of course. Okay? So, you know, some of these Israelites out here today even look like they are made of gold, you know, but in the end it comes out that they were really plastic, man. Plastic. Okay? Just like these just like most women, man. On the outside they look like there's some kind of normal. Okay? But if you smell what comes out of their mouth, man, the last pig that they was eating, man, you already see the worms and the different bacteria in their body creeping on you, man, and these different kind of sicknesses, man, like the beautiful elder apostle Gabar says it sometimes, you know, like these different bacteria, creeping worms and insects in their mouth and in their even in their voice, man, in their spirit, man. Okay, you better believe this is a whole lot of matrix, man. Okay, it comes all down to their spirit and their behavior, man, these creeping things, you know. But with that, you know, all praises to Yahweh, Barashem, Yahweh Shai, Barashem, Rukakadosh, Barakatam, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Hopefully you receive the message out of this chapter, man. Really beautiful. Shalom.